Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. Life can sometimes feel like a long, winding road, a heavy burden we carry alone. We wake up each morning, catch a glimpse of ourselves in the mirror, and wonder, am I enough? Am I worthy? There are times when the world whispers in our ear, you have no one. The world tells us you're on your own. That feeling is real. It cuts deep. It feels like a thorn lodged in your spirit. But here's something I want you to understand. That whisper, it doesn't define you. That voice telling you, you have no friend, that's not your story unless you decide it is. Now, I want you to think about a time when you were down. Maybe you lost someone you thought would always be there. Maybe you faced betrayal, or you were disappointed by strangers, even by those closest to you. Maybe you believed you didn't deserve love or support because of the mistakes you made. But I'm telling you right now, every single one of us has faced that. Nobody is immune. This feeling of isolation, this sense of emptiness. It visits everyone. It's a shadow that appears when the lights go dim, when the music stops, when the applause in the theater dies down, and you're left on that stage, heart pounding, chest aching, wondering who's in the audience rooting for you. This speech isn't about pity. It's not about giving you reasons to cling to sorrow. It's about empowerment. Let me tell you something. If there is one thing I know, and I say this with conviction, it is this: there is greatness inside of you. Don't let what people did not do define who you are. Don't allow their footsteps, or lack thereof, to determine the pace of your journey. They might walk away, sure. Trust me, people will walk away, but that's okay. Because when they leave, they make room for new ones to come in. They make room for you to stand tall and say, I'm here. Let me share an idea with you. You ever notice how diamonds are formed? They're created under pressure. Unbelievable pressure. Heat, weight, time, all working to forge something beautiful. You might be feeling that pressure now. Seems like everything's being pushed down on you. The loneliness, the doubt, the fear, but hold on. That's not a curse. That's a chrysalis. That's where your wings are being made. Under all that pressure, remember, diamonds are born. Now, I want you to imagine something. Picture in your mind a young plant, a seed. That seed is buried in the dirt, in darkness, no light, no applause, just earth. Yet the seed doesn't think, I am forgotten. No, it pushes, it grows, it cracks open the soil, reaches for the sun, heads toward the light. That seed, the seed is you, friendless, alone. That's just the dirt around you, but you are meant to grow. Fate gave you roots deep, grounded in strength, in hope, in resilience. Look at your reflection. You see two eyes, two hands, two legs, a heart that still beats. Then you're alive, and if you're alive, chances are you still have a purpose, and purpose never says you have no friend. Purpose says, come on. Purpose says, rise. You may feel like you have no friend, but brother, sister, you have you. You have your story, you have your grit, you have tomorrow. That's more than some folks got. People ask me, how do I handle it when every door slams shut? Let me tell you what I say. You build your own door, and when that's not enough, you knock down the damn wall. Because resilience, that's your birthright. That's your heritage. You come from a lineage of fighters, of believers. No single week of sorrow can alter your destiny. No momentary bout of loneliness can decide whether you walk in purpose or not. Every time you overcame, every step you took, every ounce of sweat you spilled, all of that matters. That is your evidence. That's proof that you are forging forward. Maybe today you look around and you feel invisible. Maybe you walked into a room and felt the walls closing in. Maybe you called out and heard echoes bouncing back. That's isolation, but let me remind you, echoes can't kill you. Silence doesn't define you. In fact, sometimes silence is the invitation to speak louder. Sometimes the emptiest room gives your voice the power to fill the space. Understand this. Your voice matters. Even if you feel unheard now, don't stop speaking. You don't become a whisper in time. You become a shout. You become the anthem people will eventually sing. Now listen, don't mistake this. I'm not saying you have to walk through the fire alone. I'm saying, if you must, walk through it. Walk through it on your own 2 feet. Walk with your head high, and know this. People may see you walk through those flames, and one day say, I want what she's got. People may come later. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but your fire, the one you kindled in solitude, is the fire that illuminates your path. I heard someone say once, if no one comes with you, walk alone. I love that. That right there, that's sovereign strength. That's independence. That is freedom to pursue greatness unbound. Are there those who matter? Of course. We all crave connection, but you do not need them to move. You do not rely on them to define. They are blessings that come along the way, not tickets at the gate to your breakthrough. Picture your dreams, see them clear, hold them tight, guard them fiercely. Now picture yourself walking toward them. Maybe your hands shake, your breaths come heavy, your heart pounds. People may whisper, who does she think she is? But keep going, because greatness isn't built on applause. It's built from the dust beneath your feet, the ache in your heart, the tears behind your eyes. Greatness is what you do in the dark. Greatness is how you hold your own hand while the world looks away. You might say, I have no friends. Let me say this, maybe you're right, but that's not your identity. That's a season shift. Trees lose leaves, but their roots run deeper. You lose people, but your purpose digs further. Trust in your season. Seasons last, they end. Winter yields to spring, and when spring comes, do flowers ask, where were you in the winter? No, they just bloom. I want you to know. At some point, standing in your own light, hugging yourself, believing in your dreams, that is enough. You are enough. Don't wait for validation from a mirror that shifts, from lips that praise today, abandon tomorrow. You are the validation. You are the testimony. You are the walking, breathing masterpiece in progress. Your destiny doesn't have waiting room requirements. It doesn't need VIP passes, signed autographs, or a cheering section. All it needs is you showing up every day, no matter how small the steps seem, because steps become miles, miles become movements, and movements change history. It's not about friends. It's not about followers. It's about fidelity, fidelity to yourself, fidelity to your purpose, loyalty to your vision. You are the keeper of your dream. If you let the absence of friendship break your stride, you will never meet the destiny that people didn't agree to seek along with you. That's none of your business. That's a detour in someone else's journey, not yours. Some of the world's greatest visionaries walked alone. They were misunderstood. They were dismissed. They were ridiculed. They didn't need friends to break soil. They needed courage. Courage to say what no one else could say. Courage to act where no one else would move. So, my friend, gather your courage. Stand firm. Speak truth to the empty room. And watch how the empty room starts echoing back with substance. How life starts to respond. How opportunities appear. How the universe opens its vault and says, here, you wanted this, you earned it. So right now, I want you to stand. Or sit if that's where you are. But I want your posture right. I want your spine straight. I want your chin up, because you carry history in your bones. You carry potential that defies the appearance of things. You are called, you are qualified, you are destined to leave a mark. Don't ever think you have no friend while you still breathe, because God, Spirit, universal energy, whatever you call it, still breathes inside of you. And that presence is a friend who won't walk away. That inner voice, the one that says stand, that's not loneliness. That's purpose. That's calling. That's guidance. So when everyone else says go away, you say I'm going forward. Let me be very clear, you can do this. I don't mean someday, I mean now, today, right where you are with what you have, that emptiness you feel, that void, that spark. That's your fuel. That's your call. Use it, turn it from a whisper of loneliness into a roar of triumph. That's how legends are born, not in the light, but in the darkness. That's how empires are built. Not by crowds, but by courageous souls saying, I will build. So rise up, own your story, lay your bricks, step by step, day by day. There may be moments when you stagger, moments when the pain kicks in, moments when the tears come, let them but stand, because after the tears, the vision's clearer. After the pain, strength's deeper. After the solitude, your voice grows stronger. I won't pretend you know everything. I won't pretend you'll never feel alone again. But I'll promise you this, you can stand. You can fight. You can build, you can grow, you can win, you can love, you can shine, and one day when the world asks, where did you get the strength? You'll smile and say, I had no choice. I had this fire inside me. That's your truth, and that truth is enough to sustain a legacy. So now, get up, walk toward the light, walk toward your purpose, walk into the roar of your own becoming, not on the shoulders of others, but on the foundation of your own heart, your own sweat, your own unshakable faith. Let this be the moment you chose yourself, chose your dreams, chose your destiny, chose to live large, even when nobody else believed, because you did, because you will, because you are unstoppable. Go. When you wake up in the morning and there's no one there to tell you to keep going, no one to clap when you get up, no one to say they're proud of you, that's the moment when the truth about you begins to shine. That's the test, the fire, the pressure that either breaks you or reveals you. You see, there's something sacred about doing it alone. There's something powerful about picking yourself up off the ground without a hand extended toward you. That power, that weight you carry all by yourself, it's not weakness. It's your becoming. It's your strength in raw form. The world tells you that you need a team, you need a group, a circle, a tribe. But I'm here to tell you something that's harder to hear but stronger to live by. You are enough. You have inside of you the resilience, the intelligence, the fire to carry yourself from the basement to the mountaintop. The applause is beautiful, but it's also a luxury. What's necessary, what's essential, is that voice in your own soul that says, get up. That whispers, keep going. That shouts, you've got this. Even when your knees are shaking, even when you're sweating through fear and walking through shadows, you have to trust that your journey matters, even if no one else sees the value in it. You have to believe that your steps are ordered, even if no one is walking beside you. That kind of belief doesn't come from having friends. It comes from having foundation. It comes from having backbone. It comes from staring into the mirror and saying, I got me. Because at the end of the day, the only person who is going to be there in every scene of your story, in every failure and every victory, is you. You think the world is going to stop spinning because you don't have a shoulder to lean on. No, but you don't stop either. You build your own support system brick by brick from the dust of what tried to break you. You become the one who wipes your tears and then gets back to work. That's not loneliness, that's leadership. That's power, that's owning who you are without relying on someone else to hand you permission. Let me tell you something. People will come and go. Sometimes the ones you thought would never leave, they vanish. Sometimes the ones you thought were your greatest cheerleaders, they go silent. And if your strength is built on their voices, what happens when they fall quiet? What happens when they leave? You fall apart with them. You crash with their exit. That's why your strength has to be internal, built-in, self-made, rooted in something they can't touch, rooted in belief that doesn't break when people do. You've got to get to a point where you are your own fire, your own motivation, your own plan A, B, and C. You walk in the room and light it up because you brought the match. You don't wait for someone to hand you the torch. You came lit. You came ready. You came fueled by something deeper than acceptance, purpose. That kind of self-reliance is rare. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what turns obstacles into opportunities. It's what makes mountains bow and storms part. Because when you believe in you, when you stand on your own, you become unshakable. You're not broken just because you're alone. You're in training, you're in refinement, you're in preparation. Every single moment you move forward without help, without comfort, without anyone telling you they're proud of you, you are building muscle. Spiritual muscle, mental strength, emotional discipline. And when life throws something at you, you won't flinch. Because you've already walked through fires that no one even saw. They didn't see the nights you cried but kept working. They didn't see the mornings you got up with nothing but a dream in your heart. They didn't see the pain behind the smile or the courage behind the silence. But you saw it, you lived it, and that experience, that private battle, that's what gives you real power. Not flashy power, not loud power. Quiet, unshakable, unbreakable power that moves mountains without making a sound. You don't need someone to believe in you for your belief to matter. Your belief by itself can change everything. Your consistency by itself can change everything. Your silence, your grind, your struggle, those are not signs of weakness. Those are signs of maturity, of self-control, of wisdom, and eventually that wisdom will be your weapon. Your preparation will be your proof, and your strength will be your story. When you rely on yourself, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for a call, a text, a sign. You move, you go, you build. You create, you become. You realize that no one's coming to save you because you were never lost. You were just waiting to realize the truth. You're the hero, you're the author, you're the engine. You are what you've been waiting for. That shift right there, that changes everything. That's when your decisions become sharper. Your vision gets clearer. You stop trying to be understood and start walking in purpose. You stop asking for approval and start showing results. You stop explaining yourself and start manifesting your calling. And those who once overlooked you, they'll wonder how you got so strong. They'll ask, when did she change? But it was never about changing. It was about unlocking the version of you that was always there, buried under doubt, under fear, under waiting. You were never weak. You were just sleeping on your own strength. You were waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, it's your time. But what if I told you it's been your time? What if the only thing missing wasn't opportunity, but action? You don't need a savior. You don't need a sponsor. You need a shift in mindset, a shift in how you see yourself, a shift in how you move through the world. Walk like you belong, work like it's already yours, think like it's already done, and even when you feel that fear creeping in, because it will, you speak to it. You say, I've made it this far on my own, I'm not stopping now. You say, I've survived more than they know. You say, I've seen the bottom and now I'm building the top. That kind of grit, that kind of self-reliance. That's not just confidence, it's clarity, it's ownership, it's maturity. They won't always clap, they won't always come, they won't always understand, but you'll still rise, because your strength is not dependent on them. Your next level is not held by their hands. Your breakthrough is not delayed by their absence. Your journey continues because you do, because every step you take alone is a step toward who you really are. Capable, chosen, powerful. So no, you don't need a friend in the corner. You need faith in your core. You don't need a crowd to roar. You need the courage to whisper to yourself, keep going. You don't need someone to remind you of your worth. You need to wake up every morning and walk in it, stand in it, live in it, because self-reliance isn't lonely, it's legendary. Loneliness can feel like a weight, a silence that echoes louder than any noise you've ever heard. It creeps in during the quiet moments when the world slows down and there's no one checking in, no one calling, no one asking how you're doing. It can make you question everything. It can make you feel invisible, like you're screaming into a room that no one even knows you're in. But here's the truth that's hard to swallow, yet liberating when you grasp it. Loneliness is an experience. It is not who you are. It's a moment, not your makeup. It's a shadow, not your shape. There's a difference between being alone and being defined by it. You can be in a crowd of people and still feel like a ghost. You can have followers, friends, likes, and still feel empty. Why? Because identity doesn't come from numbers. It doesn't come from having someone on your arm or people in your corner. Identity comes from knowing who you are when the room is empty, when the lights are off, when the noise dies down. Identity is forged in solitude, not shattered by it. We live in a world where everyone wants to be seen, to be known, to be celebrated. And when we're not, we assume we're broken. We assume something is wrong with us. We assume our value is tied to visibility. But that's a lie. That's a distraction. Your worth is not up for debate just because someone didn't choose to see you. Your existence isn't diminished by someone else's absence. You are not less because you are alone. In fact, you are more aware, more honest, more refined, more in touch with who you really are without all the noise and distractions. See, loneliness is a feeling. Feelings pass, but identity, that's deeper, that's rooted, that's anchored. Don't confuse the passing ache of solitude with a permanent stamp on your soul. Just because you feel alone doesn't mean you are alone. And even if you are alone for a season, that doesn't define you. You are not less lovable. You are not less strong. You are not less worthy. You are not lacking. You are still whole. Think about the strongest trees in the world. You know where they grow, in isolation, on the side of cliffs, in deserts, in storms. They don't have a forest to lean on. They don't have a crowd around them to offer protection, but they grow deep. Their roots run farther, their trunks are tougher, their resilience becomes legendary. That tree didn't choose isolation. But it didn't let isolation choose its identity either. It just grew. You can too. Loneliness might be the space between where you are and where you're going. It might be the silence that comes right before the breakthrough. Don't waste the silence. Don't curse the gap. Use it. Learn from it. Study yourself in it. See who you are when the masks fall off and the audience walks away. That's the most honest version of you, and that version, the real you, that's where your identity lives. It's not in the noise, not in the approval, not in the crowd. Sometimes the loneliness is the training ground. It's where the muscle gets built. It's where the focus sharpens. It's where you get to know yourself without needing anyone else to interpret who you are. Because the danger of being too wrapped up in others is this: they start to write your story. They start to define your name, and when they walk away, they take pieces of you with them. But when you define you, when you learn to be whole with just your own voice and your own soul, nobody can take that from you. That's yours forever. You'll have days when the weight feels heavy, when the loneliness feels like a storm cloud you can't escape. That's real, but even storms pass. The night always ends, and the sun always returns. What matters is what you tell yourself while it's dark. What matters is how you carry yourself when no one's watching. That's the foundation of identity. That's the part of you that gets tested in loneliness. And that's also the part that shines when you finally step back into the light. Don't mistake solitude for punishment. It's not always meant to break you. Sometimes it's there to build you. Sometimes you've been pulled away not because you're unworthy, but because your vision is too big to be distracted by the wrong noise. Sometimes the silence is not abandonment, it's protection, it's preparation. It's time to strip away the lies and remember who you were before the world tried to edit you. There's a stillness in loneliness that can become sacred. There's wisdom in the quiet. You start hearing things you never noticed before. Your own dreams, your own convictions, your own heartbeat. That's where true identity takes root. Not in the crowd, not in the party, not in the relationship, but in the moments where it's just you and the truth. Loneliness has a way of exposing things we tried to ignore. It brings up wounds we thought were healed, fears we thought we buried, questions we hoped to avoid. But that exposure, that's not destruction. That's revelation, that's clarity. And when you can face those fears, answer those questions, tend to those wounds, you rise up more whole than you've ever been. You'll find that when you no longer fear loneliness, you become dangerous, in the best way. Dangerous to the doubt, dangerous to the lies, dangerous to every narrative that said you had to be connected to others to matter. Because now, you don't move for validation. You move for vision. You don't beg for belonging. You walk in authority. You don't shrink to fit into other people's expectations. You expand to fill your purpose. People may try to define you by your solitude. Let them talk. Let them wonder, because you're not in hiding. You're in development. You're not fading. You're focusing. You're not empty. You're evolving, and when the time comes, you won't need to explain who you are. Your presence will speak for itself. Your results will do the talking. Your identity won't be something you wear, it'll be something you are, deeply and unshakably. So feel the loneliness, acknowledge it, don't run from it, but don't wear it like a name tag either. Don't let it sit in the space where your power belongs. Use it. Let it be the soil where your next chapter begins. Let it be the quiet before the rise. Let it be the space where you stop pretending and start becoming. You are not the absence of people. You are not the silence of the phone. You are not the canceled plans or the unreturned messages. You are not the ones who left or the ones who never showed up. You are still here, still breathing, still strong, still worthy, still enough. Loneliness might visit, but it doesn't get to move in. It doesn't own the keys to your identity. Only you do, only your truth, only your purpose, and that, no matter who's watching or who's missing, is more than enough. In this world we live in, people will chase many things: fame, followers, attention, approval. It's easy to get caught up in it. Easy to believe that if enough people clap for you, then you must be doing something right. That if they see you, like you, repost you, invite you, then your value must be confirmed. But that's not real. That's not truth. That's noise, and noise fades. What doesn't fade is purpose. What doesn't shift with opinions is calling. And the real question isn't how many people are watching you. The real question is, what are you walking in? There comes a time when you have to decide, do I want to be seen, or do I want to be significant? Do I want the crowd's approval, or do I want to answer the calling on my life? Because the two don't always line up. Sometimes you have to disappoint the crowd to stay loyal to your purpose. Sometimes the people cheering for you are only cheering because they recognize the performance, not the purpose behind it. And when the performance shifts, so does their loyalty. But purpose stays. Purpose doesn't care if it's trending. Purpose doesn't need applause. Purpose just needs obedience. You don't get to destiny by being liked. You get there by being real, by being consistent, by staying true to the thing inside of you that keeps whispering, there's more. That whisper, that's not hype. That's your soul. That's your mission calling out to you. And if you betray that voice to make others comfortable, to be accepted, to be invited, to be liked, then you lose yourself. You can be popular and lost. You can be visible and empty. You can be followed by many and led by none, not even yourself. People will try to shape you. They'll try to mold your journey into something that's palatable, something that fits their narrative, their comfort zone. And the moment you step outside that, the moment you start moving differently, speaking differently, living differently, they pull back. They go silent. And if your identity is rooted in their recognition, you'll shrink. You'll change, you'll fold. That's why purpose has to be your anchor. It's the only thing that stands firm when everything else shifts. Your calling will not always be popular. Sometimes it will be lonely. Sometimes it will be misunderstood. Sometimes people will say, she thinks she's better than us, when all you're doing is growing. Sometimes they'll say, he's changed, when all you've done is stop settling. Don't get distracted by their discomfort. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to break molds, to shift the atmosphere, to change the room, not to be changed by it. It's a trap, thinking that popularity is success. Popularity is attention, but attention without intention is emptiness. Attention fades when the next trend comes, but when you're living in purpose, you're not chasing the spotlight. You become the light. You walk into rooms and people feel the difference, not because of your name, but because of your spirit, not because of your image, but because of your impact. And let's get this clear. There is nothing wrong with being known. Nothing wrong with influence. Nothing wrong with having a platform. But if the platform is louder than your principles, you're building on sand. If your image is stronger than your integrity, it will collapse. What you build on purpose can withstand storms. What you build for popularity will collapse the moment the applause stops. There will be times when your purpose tells you to move in a direction that no one understands. Times when it feels like you're walking alone, unheard, unseen, doubted. But that's where faith lives. That's where character is formed. That's where the deeper things grow. That's when you learn to trust your gut, trust your gift, trust your God. You stop waiting for consensus and start moving with conviction. Purpose doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't come with neon signs or press releases. Sometimes it shows up quietly in your discomfort, in your restlessness, in your urge to say something that no one else is saying, to build something that doesn't yet exist, to go where no one has gone. That's the tension between purpose and popularity, because popularity wants you to conform, to repeat, to blend in. But purpose dares you to stand out, to be bold, to go against the grain. And yes, it will cost you. It'll cost you people. It'll cost you invitations. It'll cost you peace of mind some days. But it will also reward you with something the world can't give: fulfillment. That deep, rich sense that you're doing what you were made to do, that you're walking the path you were born for, that even if no one claps, no one posts, no one praises, you're at peace because you're not performing anymore. You're aligned. Some of the greatest visionaries weren't popular, Not at first. They were criticized, laughed at, ignored, until their results spoke louder than their voices ever could, until their consistency turned heads, until their faithfulness outlived the doubt. They weren't chasing fans, they were chasing purpose, and eventually purpose made room for them. It always does. Because when you stay true, when you stay grounded, the world has no choice but to make space for what is real. You can choose now, today, this moment. Live loud or live true. Popularity demands volume, but purpose demands depth. And when it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered for? The moment or the mission? The trend or the truth, the crowd or the calling? Popularity can bring comfort. It can give you a seat at the table, but purpose builds the table. Purpose invites others to eat. Purpose doesn't just shine, it empowers. It uplifts, it transforms. You weren't made just to be known. You were made to make a difference. That's why you feel that pull in your chest when you start to settle. That's why you can't fake it for long. Because your purpose refuses to be ignored. So you can post the perfect photo, say the right thing, win the approval of thousands, and still feel empty. Or you can walk in purpose even when it's quiet. Even when no one sees. Even when the likes don't come. Because purpose feeds your soul. It gives you peace at night. It gives your life meaning. And that meaning, that's worth more than any spotlight. Stay true to the path. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone is meant to. You don't owe them clarity. You owe your calling obedience. And if that obedience takes you away from the crowd, so be it. Let it take you. Let it stretch you. Let it grow you into the person you were always meant to be. You don't have to be famous to be faithful. You don't have to be visible to be valuable. You don't have to be followed to be fulfilled. You just have to show up for your assignment, show up for your calling, show up for yourself again and again, quietly, boldly, relentlessly. There's no shame in walking a different road. The only shame is ignoring the road that was built for you. So walk it, run it, own it, not for applause, not for eyes, but for the fire inside you that says, this is who I am, this is why I'm here. Let that be enough, let that be everything. Resilience is not something you're born with, it's something you build. One piece at a time, one moment at a time, one heartbreak at a time. You earn it. You earn it through the nights when you had every reason to give up, but chose to keep breathing. Through the days when nobody checked in, nobody called, and still, you got up and showed up. That's where resilience is made. In the trenches. Not in the spotlight, not in the applause, but in the hard, silent places where no one sees you grinding. No one sees you hurting, but you keep going anyway. There's a difference between surviving and thriving, but the bridge between them is resilience. You don't get to legacy by convenience. You get there through endurance, through weathering the storm and refusing to be washed away. Legacy isn't about having the perfect plan or flawless execution. It's about persistence. It's about waking up on the worst day of your life and saying, this isn't how my story ends. That's resilience. That's the seed of legacy, and make no mistake. Every time you press forward through pain, every time you choose growth instead of comfort, you're writing something that lasts. Because people remember courage. They remember strength. They remember the ones who took the hits and still stood. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be famous. You just have to be unshakable in your pursuit of becoming. Because when you become resilient, you become undeniable. The world doesn't hand you legacy, it watches you earn it, and the currency you pay with is pain, patience, and persistence. Resilience says, I'm not defined by what broke me. I'm defined by how I rebuilt. You learn to stop waiting for someone to pick you up. You learn to stop expecting someone to come fix it for you. You start rising on your own. You start leading yourself. That's what makes legacy possible. Not the easy times, but the moments when you thought you had nothing left and still gave more. Nobody sees what happens behind closed doors. They don't see the tears. They don't feel the weight. They just see what's left standing, and when you stand, even if it's with bruises, with scars, with silence, that stand echoes. That moment tells someone else, if she can get through it, maybe I can too. That's the beginning of impact. That's where your story becomes someone else's reason to believe. You survive, and suddenly it's not just about you anymore, it's about every soul watching, silently praying for a reason not to give up. That's legacy. Legacy is built when your resilience gives others permission to rise. When your strength turns into someone else's shelter, when your refusal to quit creates a path for someone who's lost, and none of it comes easy, because resilience demands sacrifice. It demands that you keep going when everything in you says stop. It demands that you believe in a future you can't yet see, that you trust the process when the results are still invisible. There will be voices, external and internal, that try to break you, that whisper you're not enough, you're too late, you're alone. But resilience doesn't argue. It doesn't explain. It proves. It shows up day after day, step after step, until the voice of doubt is drowned out by the sound of progress. And slowly your journey becomes a monument, not of perfection, but of perseverance. Not of ease, but of endurance. You start to see that every breakdown built something, every disappointment carved out a new kind of discipline, every loss redefined your vision. That's what resilience does. It turns suffering into structure. It takes what tried to destroy you and makes it the foundation for something unshakable. That's how legacies are born, not in grand gestures, but in daily choices, small acts of faith, quiet decisions to keep moving. And it doesn't mean you won't feel the weight. Resilience doesn't mean you're numb. It means you feel every part of it, but you still choose to stand. You feel the fear, but you move anyway. You feel the pain, but you love anyway. You feel the doubt, but you build anyway. That's the grit that gets remembered. That's the fuel that carries your name beyond your years. Your legacy isn't in what you say, it's in what you survived. It's in what you stayed committed to even when no one was watching. It's in the strength you showed on days you had every excuse to crumble. That quiet courage, that's what leaves a mark. That's what outlives the moment. Because years from now, someone will read your story, hear your journey, and say, "She didn't quit, he kept going." And that truth will light a fire in them. But it all starts with resilience, with choosing to believe that what you're going through is shaping you, not breaking you. That the weight is molding your wings, not crushing your spirit. That every setback is just a setup for the story that's still being written. It's easy to smile when everything's going well. It's easy to celebrate when the world is clapping. But what about when it's just you and the grind? You and the tears, you and the mirror. That's where your legacy is written. In the discipline no one sees. In the sacrifices no one thanks you for. In the nights when you're your own encouragement, your own friend, your own fire. That's the kind of strength that builds monuments. That's the kind of faith that moves generations. You think legacy is for the chosen, but it's not. It's for the committed, the consistent, the resilient. Every time you rise, you teach the world something. Every time you persevere, you challenge someone else's limits. Every time you refuse to be broken, you redefine what strength looks like. You don't even realize the ripple effect of your resilience. You think it's just your story, but your survival becomes someone else's instruction. Your growth becomes someone else's blueprint. You may never hear all the people you've inspired. You may never meet all the ones your strength saved. But know this, your resilience is not wasted, it's not unseen, it's not forgotten. It becomes the bricks others build on, the light others follow, the map others use to navigate their darkest hours. So every time you want to quit, remember that legacy isn't built in a moment, it's built in motion. In showing up, in staying when it's hard, in fighting when it hurts. That's what makes you unforgettable, not the trophies, not the titles, but the truth you carried through the storm, the dignity you wore while in the fire, the grace you held when the world gave you none. Resilience isn't just about you. It's about what you create for others through the way you live. And when you realize that your struggle is someone else's survival guide, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Let's go." You stop waiting for rescue and start becoming the rescuer. That's when your story shifts. That's when your name becomes more than a name. It becomes a force, a movement, a legacy, one built not by ease, but by unbreakable resilience.